Arthur Conan Doyle, The Sign of the Four. Chapter 4. The Story of the Bald-Headed Man. We followed the Indian down a dirty and ordinary passage. It was badly lit and poorly furnished. He came to a door on the right and opened it. A strong yellow light shone out on us. In the middle of the light stood a small man with a very high head. He had a ring of red hair around it and a bald, shining top. It rose from the hair like a mountain peak from trees. He twisted his hands together as he stood. His face kept moving all the time. Now he smiled, now he frowned, but never rested for a moment. Nature had given him a hanging lower lip and a very clear line of yellow and uneven teeth. He tried weakly to hide them by often passing his hand over the lower part of his face. In spite of his obvious baldness, he looked young. In fact, he had just turned 30. "Your servant, Miss Morstan," he kept saying in a thin, high voice. "Your servant, gentlemen. Please come into my little room. It is a small place, miss, but arranged as I like it. It is an oasis of art in the wild desert of South London." We were all surprised by the room he showed us. In that poor house, it looked very strange, like a fine diamond in cheap metal. The richest and shiniest curtains and wall hangings covered the walls. They were pulled back in places to show beautiful paintings or Eastern vases. The carpet was yellow and black. It was so soft and thick that our feet sank into it, like into moss. 2 large tiger skins lay across it and made the room feel even more like the East. There was also a large hookah standing on a mat in the corner. A lamp shaped like a silver dove hung from a thin golden wire in the middle of the room. As it burned, it filled the air with a soft and pleasant smell. "Mr. Thaddeus Sholto," said the small man, still moving and smiling. "That is my name. You are a Miss Morstan, of course. And these gentlemen? This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson." "A doctor, eh?" he cried, very excited. "Do you have your stethoscope? May I ask you, would you be so kind? I have serious doubts about my mitral valve, if you would be so good. I trust my aortic valve, but I would value your opinion about the mitral one." I listened to his heart as he asked, but I could not find anything wrong. Only that he was full of fear, because he was shaking from head to foot. "It seems to be normal," I said. "You have no reason to worry." "You must excuse my anxiety, Miss Morstan," he said lightly. "I suffer a great deal, and I have long suspected that valve. I am very glad to hear that these fears are not true. If your father, Miss Morstan, had not put such strain on his heart, he might be alive now." I felt so angry that I wanted to hit the man in the face. His careless and cold words about such a sensitive matter made me very upset. Miss Morstan sat down, and her face became pale. "I knew in my heart that he was dead," she said. "I can give you all the information," he said, "and more than that. I can do what is right for you. And I will do it, no matter what Brother Bartholomew says. I am very glad that your friends are here. They are not only here to accompany you, but also to be witnesses to what I am going to say and do. The 3 of us can stand strong against Brother Bartholomew. But let us not involve outsiders, no police or officials. We can settle everything ourselves without any outside help. Nothing would annoy Brother Bartholomew more than publicity." He sat down on a low sofa and looked at us with his weak, light blue eyes. "For my part," said Holmes, "whatever you choose to say will not be repeated." I nodded to show that I agreed. That is good," he said. "May I offer you a glass of Chianti, Miss Morstan, or Tokay? I do not keep any other wines. Shall I open a bottle? No? Well then, I hope you do not mind tobacco smoke, the soft and pleasant smell of Eastern tobacco. I am a little nervous, and I find my hookah very calming." He lit the large bowl, and the smoke bubbled happily through the rose water. The three of us sat in a half-circle, leaning forward with our chins on our hands, while the strange little man, with his high, shining head, sat in the middle and smoked nervously. "When I first decided to send this message to you," he said, "I could have given you my address, but I was afraid that you might ignore my request and bring unwanted people with you. So I arranged the meeting in such a way that my servant Williams could see you first. I trust him completely, and he had orders not to continue if he was not satisfied. Please excuse these precautions, but I am a rather private person, and I might even say that I have refined tastes. There is nothing less pleasant than a policeman. I naturally avoid anything rough or common. I rarely meet ordinary people. As you can see, I live surrounded by a small amount of elegance. I may call myself a supporter of the arts. It is my weakness. The landscape is a real Corot, and although an expert might doubt that Salvator Rosa, there is no doubt about the Bouguereau. I especially like modern French art." "You must excuse me, Mr. Sholto," said Miss Morstan, "but I am here because you asked me to come and hear something important. It is very late, and I would like this meeting to be as short as possible." "At best it will take some time," he answered, "because we will have to go to Norwood and see Brother Bartholomew. We will all go and try to deal with him. He is very angry with me because I chose to act as I thought was right. We had a serious argument last night. You cannot imagine how terrible he is when he is angry." "If we are going to Norwood, it might be better to leave at once," I said. He laughed until his ears became red. "That would not be a good idea," he said. "I don't know what he would say if I brought you there so suddenly. No, I must first explain the situation and show you how everything is between us. First, I must tell you that there are some parts of the story that I do not know myself. I can only tell you the facts as I know them. My father was, as you may have guessed, Major John Sholto, who once served in the Indian Army. He retired about 11 years ago and came to live at Pondicherry Lodge in Upper Norwood. He had made a lot of money in India and brought back a large amount of wealth, many valuable objects, and several native servants. With these advantages, he bought a house and lived in great comfort. My twin brother Bartholomew and I were his only children. I clearly remember the excitement caused by the disappearance of Captain Morstan. We read about it in the newspapers, and since he had been a friend of our father, we talked about it freely in front of him. He even joined our discussions about what might have happened. We never suspected that he knew the whole secret, that he alone knew what had happened to Arthur Morstan. We did know, however, that some mystery, some real danger, hung over our father. He was very afraid to go out alone, and he always had 2 strong fighters working as guards at Pondicherry Lodge. Williams, who drove you tonight, was one of them. He had once been the lightweight champion of England. Our father never told us what he was afraid of, but he had a strong fear of men with wooden legs. Once, he even fired his gun at a man with a wooden leg, who turned out to be a harmless salesman. We had to pay a large amount of money to keep the matter quiet. My brother and I used to think this was just one of our father's strange habits, but later events made us change our minds. In early 1882, my father received a letter from India that shocked him deeply. He almost fainted at the breakfast table when he opened it, and from that day, his health became worse until he died. We never found out what was in the letter, but I saw that it was short and written in messy handwriting. He had been ill for years with an enlarged spleen, but now his condition became much worse very quickly. Toward the end of April, we were told that there was no hope for him, and that he wished to speak to us one last time. When we entered his room, He was lying on pillows and breathing with difficulty. He asked us to lock the door and to stand on each side of his bed. Then he took our hands and made a very unusual statement. His voice was weak, both from emotion and pain. I will try to give it to you in his exact words. "There is only one thing," he said, "that troubles my mind at this final moment. It is how I treated poor Morstan's orphan. My terrible greed, which has been my greatest fault in life, kept the treasure from her, although at least half of it should have been hers. And yet I never used it myself. Such a foolish thing greed is. Just the feeling of owning it was so important to me that I could not share it with anyone. Look at that pearl necklace next to the quinine bottle. Even that I could not give away, although I had taken it out to send to her. You, my sons, must give her a fair share of the Agra treasure. But do not send her anything, not even the necklace, until I am dead. After all, men have done worse things and still recovered. I will tell you how Morstan died," he continued. "He had had a weak heart for many years, but he kept it secret from everyone. Only I knew. In India, he and I, through a strange series of events, got a large treasure. I brought it to England, and on the night Morstan arrived, he came straight here to claim his part. He walked from the station and was let in by my loyal servant, Lal Chowdhury, who is now dead. Morstan and I disagreed about how to divide the treasure, and we began to argue. Morstan jumped up from his chair in great anger. Suddenly he put his hand to his side, his face turned dark, and he fell backwards. He hit his head on the corner of the treasure chest. When I bent over him, I saw with horror that he was dead. For a long time I sat there, half out of my mind, wondering what to do. My first thought was to call for help, of course. But I understood that I might be accused of murdering him. He had died during an argument, and the wound on his head would make things look bad for me. Also, an official investigation would reveal facts about the treasure, which I wanted to keep secret. He had told me that no one in the world knew where he had gone. There seemed to be no reason why anyone should ever know. I was still thinking about the matter when I looked up and saw my servant, Lal Chowdhury, in the doorway. He came in quietly and locked the door behind him. "Do not be afraid, Sahib," he said. "No one needs to know that you have killed him. Let us hide him, and no one will be the wiser." "I did not kill him," I said. Lal Chowdhury shook his head and smiled. "I heard everything, Sahib," he said. "I heard you arguing, and I heard the blow. But I will not speak. Everyone in the house is asleep. Let us hide him together." That was enough to decide me. If my own servant did not believe I was innocent, how could I hope to prove it to 12 foolish men in a jury? Lal Chowdhury and I hid the body that night, and within a few days, the London newspapers were full of the mysterious disappearance of Captain Morstan. From what I have said, you can see that I can hardly be blamed. My fault is that we hid not only the body, but also the treasure, and that I kept Morstan's share as well as my own. So I want you to make things right. Put your ears close to my mouth. The treasure is hidden in... At that moment, a terrible change came over his face. His eyes opened wide, his jaw dropped, and he shouted in a voice I will never forget, "Keep him out! For God's sake, keep him out!" We both turned and looked at the window behind us, where he was staring. A face was looking in at us from the darkness. We could see the nose pressed against the glass. It was a bearded, hairy face, with wild and cruel eyes and a very evil expression. My brother and I ran to the window, but the man had gone. When we came back to my father, his head had fallen, and his heart had stopped beating. We searched the garden that night, but we found no sign of the intruder. Only one footprint could be seen under the window in the flower bed. Without that one sign, we might have thought we had imagined the terrible face. But soon we had even stronger proof that secret forces were working around us. In the morning, we found that the window of my father's room was open. His cupboards and boxes had been searched, and on his chest there was a torn piece of paper with the words, "The Sign of the Four," written on it. We never understood what these words meant or who the visitor was. As far as we could tell, nothing had been stolen, although everything had been moved. My brother and I naturally connected this strange event with the fear that troubled our father during his life. But it is still a complete mystery to us. The little man stopped to light his hookah again and smoked quietly for a few moments. We all sat still, deeply interested in his strange story. When he spoke about her father's death, Miss Morstan became very pale, and for a moment I thought she might faint. But she recovered after drinking a glass of water, which I quietly poured for her from a glass bottle on the table. Sherlock Holmes leaned back in his chair with a thoughtful look, his eyes half closed. When I looked at him, I remembered how earlier that day he had complained that life was boring. Here, at last, was a problem that would fully challenge his intelligence. Mr. Thaddeus Sholto looked at each of us with clear pride at the effect his story had made, and then he continued, smoking his large pipe between sentences. "My brother and I," he said, "were, as you can imagine, very excited about the treasure my father had mentioned. For weeks and months we dug all over the garden, but we could not find it. It was very frustrating to think that he was about to tell us the hiding place when he died. We could guess how valuable the treasure was from the pearl necklace he had taken out. My brother Bartholomew and I had a small disagreement about this necklace. The pearls were clearly very valuable, and he did not want to give them away. To be honest, my brother has a little of my father's greed. He also thought that if we gave away the necklace, people might start talking, and this could cause trouble. It took me a lot of effort to convince him to let me find Miss Morstan's address and send her a single pearl from time to time, so that she would never feel poor. "It was a kind idea," said our companion seriously. "It was very good of you." The little man waved his hand modestly. "We were responsible for your interests," he said. "That is how I saw it, although Brother Bartholomew did not fully agree. We had plenty of money ourselves. I did not want more. Also, it would have been very bad manners to treat a young lady so badly. Le mauvais goût mène au crime. The French express such things very well. Our disagreement became so strong that I decided to live separately. So I left Pondicherry Lodge and took the old servant and Williams with me. Yesterday, however, I learned that something very important has happened. The treasure has been found. I immediately contacted Miss Morstan, and now we only need to go to Norwood and claim our share. I explained my opinion to Brother Bartholomew last night, so he expects us, even if he is not happy to see us." Mr. Thaddeus Sholto stopped speaking and sat nervously on his soft sofa. We all stayed silent, thinking about this new turn in the strange case. Holmes was the first to stand up. "You have done well, sir, from beginning to end," he said. "It is possible that we may help you a little by explaining what is still unclear to you. But as Miss Morstan said, it is late, and we should deal with the matter without delay." Our new acquaintance slowly wrapped up the tube of his hookah and took from behind a curtain a very long coat with decorative loops and a fur collar and cuffs. He buttoned it tightly, even though the night was very warm. Then he put on a rabbit fur hat with long ear flaps, so that only his thin and sharp face could be seen. "My health is rather weak," he said as he led us down the passage. "I must take great care of myself." Our cab was waiting outside, and everything had clearly been planned because the driver started immediately and drove quickly. Thaddeus Sholto talked all the time in a loud voice, which rose above the noise of the wheels. "Bartholomew is a clever man," he said. How do you think he discovered where the treasure was? He decided that it must be somewhere inside the house. So he calculated all the space in the building and measured everything, so that not even 1 inch was missing. Among other things, he found that the height of the house was 74 feet. But when he added together the heights of all the rooms and allowed for the spaces between them, which he checked by drilling small holes, the total was only 70 feet. There were 4 feet missing. These could only be at the top of the house. So he made a hole in the ceiling of the highest room, and there he found another small attic above it. It had been closed off, and no one knew about it. In the middle stood the treasure chest, resting on 2 beams. He lowered it through the hole, and now it is there. He believes that the jewels are worth at least £500,000. When we heard this enormous amount of money, we all looked at each other in surprise. If Miss Morstan received what was hers, she would go from being a poor governess to the richest heiress in England. A true friend should be happy about such news, but I am ashamed to say that I felt selfish. My heart became heavy. I said a few weak words of congratulations and then sat quietly, looking down, not listening to our new companion. He was clearly someone who worried too much about his health, and I vaguely noticed that he was talking endlessly about his symptoms. He kept asking questions about many strange medicines, some of which he carried in a small leather case in his pocket. I hope he does not remember any of the answers I gave him that night. Holmes says that he heard me warn him about the great danger of taking more than 2 drops of castor oil, while I advised him to take large amounts of strychnine as a calming medicine. However that may be, I was certainly glad when our cab suddenly stopped and the driver jumped down to open the door. "This, Miss Morstan, is Pondicherry Lodge," said Mr. Thaddeus Sholto, as he helped her out.